Mr. President, I wanted to share a few thoughts about the state of the American economy and the lack of effectiveness of this Congress in confronting it, in particular the lack of the leadership of the United States Senate to deal with the crisis that we're facing, both economically and really financially as part of our economic condition. You can't separate those two. The leading economic indicators are not good. Last week, we were pummeled with a series of reports that were bad news. The numbers continue to be disturbing, actually. The share of our population that is employed today declined to 58.4%, the lowest level since 1983. So the percentage of people working today is the lowest we've had since 1983. The May jobs report that just came in fell well short of projections. The consensus view of economists was for a gain of 167,000 jobs. But in fact, we gained 111,000 fewer than that. We had a very low job creation month. And it marks one of the worst jobs report in 8 months. Everybody's been saying that things are getting better and we're getting better and jobs are getting better, but this is a wake-up call. The numbers have not been strong. They've actually been very fragile. The jobs have to increase about 180,000 a month to actually stay level. And to begin to increase, you have to be above that. Reduce our unemployment rate has to be above 180,000. And so we were far below that this month. So it's not a good situation. And we've tried, the Federal Reserve has tried, the Congress rammed through a stimulus bill that didn't work. I felt it wouldn't work, and I explained why at that time, but it passed anyway, adding almost $900 billion to our total debt of our country. Every penny of that was borrowed, and it hasn't worked, but we'll pay interest on it. Last year, our highway spending was about $40 billion. The interest on that stimulus bill will be almost that much forever, I suppose, unless we find some way to start paying down our debt. And there's no plan on the table to reduce our debt in the immediate future. That's for sure. So we're not facing up to the reality. So what do? The Fed has cut interest rates to zero. We're spending unlimited amounts of money. We've tried all kinds of gimmicks and efforts, reducing Social Security, tax, other things to try to create growth in the economy, and it hasn't worked. I suggest part of the problem is the deficit itself. So we don't know what's going to happen. I think we've got to just grow up, realize that we have placed our nation in financial jeopardy, that this country has spent money it did not have to a degree greater than this nation has ever spent before, except maybe in the height of World War II, when the entire nation was in a life and death struggle. We've never spent this kind of money. We've never had these kind of deficits. Many remember the big fight over spending in the mid-'90s and resulted in the balancing of the budget in the late '90s. That was a much simpler problem than we've got today. I've looked at the numbers. I've studied the numbers. To get this country to a balanced budget is going to take some very, very serious, sustained work that's going to be much more significant than it was in the mid-'90s. And we simply cannot grow this economy, which is the key to getting ourselves out of the mess that we're in. We can't grow it by just passing more taxes. We can't do that. And Congress has got to step up to the plate. And I remain extremely disappointed that the majority here in the Senate did not even bring a budget to the floor last year We're now at 750, 60 some odd days without having a budget. That's one reason we're spending so much money we don't have. We don't even have a budget. It was not even brought to the floor last year. Not a single appropriations bill was brought to the floor and passed last year. Since I've been here, and I guess in 20 or more years, our Democratic majority had the largest majority any Senate's ever had. They had 60 votes last year in the Senate. It only takes 50 to pass a budget. You don't need to, you can pass a budget without supermajority, without a filibuster. It's designed to make sure we pass a budget because it's needed that we pass a budget, but it wasn't even brought up last year. And so what about this year? We've not even marked one up. We've not had a hearing in the Budget Committee to mark up a budget. When you produce a budget, you have to set forth for the entire world, the financial world, the American people, the political world, the individual citizens of this republic, what your plans are for the future. This Keynesian spend, tax, spend idea of how to make an economy grow is not sound. We've tried it. It was done over my objection, but it was done. We threw money at this economy, the likes of which we've never seen before. You can't borrow your way out of debt, as one person in Evergreen told me. His granddaddy said, we have got to face the music. We don't have the money to operate at the level we are.